Hello, today we're going to go over factoring a quadratic using the AC method. Okay, so this is one of the questions in the ALEX program. So first we're going to go over the parts of the quadratic. So here our 2 is considered our leading coefficient, which is our A term. Okay, next here we have our B term. There's nothing in front of the x, so it's not a 0, because if it was a 0, there would be no x. So we have 1x. So that's our linear coefficient, which is our b term. And then lastly, we have our c term, which is our constant. So this is our constant. It's negative 28. All right. So using the AC methods, we're going to use these steps. Okay. So step 1, we're going to find the product of AC. Step 2, we're going to find the factors of A and C that have the sum of B. Next, we are going to rewrite the polynomial separating the linear term. We're going to group the first two terms, the last two terms. Then we're going to factor each group separately, and we're going to factor out the binomial. All right, so we're going to start with step 1. So step 1 says find the product of A and C. Well, what is A? A is negative 2 and C is negative 28. All right, so when we multiply these two, it's going to give us negative 56. Okay, so you can use the diamond method. You're going to think of something that adds to, or two factors that multiply to negative 56. And then it says to find the factors of A and C that have the sum of B. But what is our B term? Our B term here is 1. So the 1 goes here. So what goes here in these two, or what two factors are going to give me, when I multiply, give me negative 6 and add to 1? So for this one, it is 7 times 8. So here I'm going to put 7 and 8, and this one would be negative, right? Because I need the bigger one to be positive, because this is positive. All right, so 7 and 8. So now I know that. Okay, step 2 says to write the factors of A and C that have the sum of B. So I found out that is 8 and negative 7. Okay, and that gives me 1, which is what I need in my B term. All right, so step 3 says to rewrite the polynomial separating the linear term. All right, so this is the linear term. Our linear coefficient part is this guy right here. So I'm going to rewrite it. So 2x squared. Okay, now instead of writing 1x, I'm going to put in these two guys, because these two guys actually make 1. So this is going to be positive 8x minus 7x. Okay, because if I add those two together, I do get 1x, right? All right, so, and then I copy down the last term, which is negative 28. All right, step 4 says group the first two terms and the last two terms. All right, so I'm going to group here. Let me use a different color. I'm going to group the first two terms and the last two terms, which are these two guys. And I'm going to rewrite it. So I'm going to write it as 2x squared plus 8x plus negative 7x and a minus negative 28. All right, so I grouped my terms. All right, and then it says to factor each group separately. All right, so step 5. So here I can take out a 2 and an x from each one. So if what is 2 divided by 2 is just 1, x squared divided by x is just x, plus an 8 divided by 2 is 4, 8, and I take out an x, I don't have any x's left. Okay, here I can actually take out a negative 7, that's about it. So I'm going to take out a negative 7. So negative 7 divided by negative 7 is just 1. X, I didn't take out any x's, so I have x left. Negative 28 divided by negative 7, which will give me a negative 4, or positive, or a 4, positive 4, because I'm taking out a negative. Okay. So now I have a binomial. I have two parts here. So step 5 says, or sorry, step 6 says to factor out the binomial, because there's two parts. It's this part and this part. But what do they have in common? They have these two parts in common. So I'm going to take that out. Factor it out. A, x, and then I'm going to take, I factored it out, so I'm taking it out, so I don't have this anymore. And then what do I have left? Well, here I just have this guy left, and here I have negative 7 left. Okay, and that's how I factor the binomial. So when I go back to the Alex program, well, how did I take out this middle part? They want to know what happened here in the middle part. So one's a plus and one's a minus. So I have to find the one that's a plus and a minus. So I did plus 8x minus, oh, let me do that in a better color. This was an 8x and this was a 7x. So this is the one I'm going to use. And then when I put the factorization, which is this is the final answer, I put that here. X plus 4, 2x minus 7. All right. So I'm going to do one more problem. All right. The next problem I'm going to do is 15x squared minus 4x minus 3. All right, so step 1 says to multiply a and c. This is a, this is c, so I'm going to do 15 times negative 3. Okay, step 2 says to find the factors of a and c that have a sum of b. Well, this one, when I multiply, gives me negative 45. So I have negative 45 and something that adds to this friend here, negative 4. Well, I know 9 times 5 is negative 45, and if I do it this way, that's how I get a negative. So when I add 5, take away 9, or when I add negative 9 plus 5, you could do it on a calculator, that'll give me negative, this guy, negative 4. So now I have negative 4 and 5, which gives, oh, sorry, I wrote that wrong. It's these two guys. So it's negative 9 and 5 that give me that negative 4 that I need right here. So that's what I'm going to put. I'm going to put these two guys in here. Okay. So step 3 says, well, rewrite it. So if I rewrite it, 15x squared. Now instead of writing 4x, I'm writing these two. So I'm going to put those two guys right here. Negative 9x plus 5x, and then it's minus 3. All right, so then I group. It says to group, so you're just putting parentheses around the first two and these two. All right, so that's what I'm going to do. So it's 15x squared minus 9x plus 5x minus 3. All right, cool. Now, what can I take out here on the first thing? Well, they both have an x, so I can take out an x. Let's factor out an x. What else can I factor out? I can factor out, well, 15 and 9. They both have a common factor of 3, so I'm going to take out a 3. All right, so I'm going to divide. What's 15 divided by 3? Well, that's 5. I have two x's, and I take out one of them. I still have one x left. Negative 9, and I divide it by 3. It's just negative 3. X, I have one x, and I take away an x. I don't have any x's left if I factor it out. And this, I can't factor anything out. They're all prime numbers. All right, so now it says step 6 to factor out the binomial. So I look at these two parts. I look at this part and I look at this part. What do they have in common? What is the same? Well, this guy's the same. So let's take that out. Let's divide it out, factor it out. So now that I factor it out, I don't have this anymore. So what am I left with if I take out these two guys? Well, what do I have left with here? I have 3x, and here I have plus what? What's in the front? It's not a 0, it's a 1, because that means I have one of these guys. All right, so this answer, I would have to find where it says 15x squared, and if it says minus something x plus something x minus 3, I would plug in into Alex, I would plug in the 9 and the 5, because that's what I used right here in the middle. Okay, and then the final answer is this one. So that's what I'm going to put in, 5x minus 3, 3x plus 1. And that's how you factor using the AC method.